Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And we've been reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is Srila Prabhupada's magnum opus. Although he did stop the translation and commentation on the Bhagavatam for some time to complete the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So one could argue which is more important. But still, he considered the Bhagavatam to be his magnum opus because all the other scriptures are actually based upon the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Even the Rasa Shastras of the six Goswamis, they're all based on the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So even the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's based on Bhagavatam, on Bhagavad Gita, on the Rasa Shastras, on the Upanishads, on the Puranas. It's got verses in the actual verses themselves, not only the purports, but in the verses themselves, from all those different scriptures. Hare Krishna, Kelly. Okay. So therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very special, and it answers all questions. And if one reads the whole thing all the way through, and then again, and then again, and then again, for the rest of our lives, then you get everything. Here, take this chair. No, group, you deserve it. You're here every night. You deserve this chair. Yeah, you're special. Yeah. Okay. So here we are, and we've reached the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. No joke. We've been sitting here every day and reading the Bhagavatam, and we've reached the 8th canto. This is no joke, In the what was the preface of Bhagavatam? Prabhupada said, if you honestly and sincerely hear, without, one verse after the other, without skipping around, the whole 9 chapters, you get the 10th canto, then you can understand God. Yeah, here we are in the 8th canto. We're just about ready to understand God, the original form of God. Of course, there are degrees, but we should still keep hearing it, even if we have realized who Krishna is. We should still keep reading because there's all kinds of there's a spectrum of being a devotee of Krishna, and we want to get to the Shuddha Bhakta platform, where there's nothing but desire to please Krishna in all of our activities. Okay, with that little preamble, welcome to all of you all out there in cyberspace also. We'll read, as we do every day, Srila Sanatana Goswami's. I want to point out one verse especially, this one line that says, Prema Varshaksharayate. That means that every syllable pours down a flood of prema. Syllable, not just word, syllable. So don't miss one. We're in a section of the Bhagavatam that has all kinds of information about the history and generations and, the Manus and the sons and daughters and, the genealogical tables of our forefathers. But every single syllable is actually flowing, prema is flowing from it. If you're a Shuddha Bhakta. Okay, that's the goal. And to do that, we're going to get help from Sanatana Goswami, and we're going to hear the Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Loka Tatpara Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the oversight of all the world. You are the only giver of sight to all the world. Sorry, I missed it. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwan Doditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguru Mad Mahadana Mad Nistadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin adini chochatakada hanamunchagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So sometimes the Lord appears and stays for some time and performs unlimited varieties of pastimes for the pleasure of the whole world. And sometimes he comes just for a short period of time, like when he came to kill Hiranyakashipu. He just came for a few minutes, killed him, accepted a few prayers, and blessed, and blessed Prahlad Maharaj, then left. Now we're going to hear about how Krishna came to save Gajendra, the king of the elephants, who happens to be, in his last life, Indradumna, the king Indradumna, great devotee. Okay? Just like Bharat Maharaj had to take a birth as a deer for one lifetime before he came back and was Jad Bharat and then went back to Godhead, right? Because he made a mistake. But he remembered, even in the body of the deer, who he was in the last life, kept himself aloof from the deer community, went to the same place that he was before when he was, an advanced yogi, and then he became Jad Bharat and went back to Godhead. So here we're going to hear about Gajendra and how he was delivered by the Lord because of a simple act, pure, simple act of a prayer and a lotus flower to the Lord in an extremely difficult position. Text 8, chapter 2, Canto 8. The valleys beneath Trikuta mountain are beautifully decorated by many varieties of jungle animals, and in the trees, which are maintained in gardens by the demigods, varieties of birds chirp with sweet voices. Text 8. Trikuta mountain has many lakes and rivers, with beaches covered by small gems resembling grains of sand. The water is as clear as crystal, and when the demigod damsels bathe in it, their bodies lend fragrance to the water and the breeze, thus enriching the atmosphere. Purport. Even in the material world, there are many grades of living entities. The human beings on earth generally cover themselves with external fragrances to stop their bad bodily odors. But here we find that because of the bodily fragrance of the demigod damsels, the rivers and lakes, the breeze, and the entire atmosphere of Trikuta mountain also become fragrant. Since the bodies of the damsels in the upper planetary systems are so beautiful, we can just imagine how beautifully formed are the bodies of the Vaikuntha damsels, or the damsels in Vrindavan, the gopis. Text 9 through 13. In the valley of the Trikuta mountain, there was a garden called Ritumat. This garden belonged to the great devotee Varuna, and was a sporting place for the damsels of the demigods. Flowers and fruits grew there in all seasons. Among them were mandaras, parijatas, patalas, ashokas, champakas, chutas, pialas, panasas, mangoes, amartakas, kratamukas, coconut trees, date trees, and pomegranates. There were madukas, palm trees, tamals. Just say that. You're going to live a long life, buddy. Tamal Gopal just walked in, our 8-year-old Prahlad Maharaj of the Houston ISKCON Yatra, just as the word Tamal was spoken. Pretty special. Here comes his father. The verse we just read, the word Tamal, just when he walked in the door. Mystic. Okay. Tamal, asanas, arjunas, arishtas, udumbaras, plakshas, banyan trees, kimshukas, and sandalwood trees. There were also pichumardas, kovidaras, saralas, suradarus, grapes, sugarcane, bananas, jambu, badaris, akshas, abayas, and amalakis. 14 to 19. In that garden there was a very large lake filled with shining golden lotus flowers, and the flowers known as kumuda, kalara, utpala, and shatapatra, which added excellent beauty to the mountain. There were also bilva, kapita, jambira, and balataka trees. Intoxicated bumblebees drank honey and hummed with the chirping of birds, whose songs were very melodious. The lake was crowded with swans, karadambas, chakravakas, cranes, and flocks of water chickens, datuyas, koyashtis, and other murmuring birds. Because of the agitating movements of the fish and tortoises, the water was decorated with pollen that had fallen from the lotus flowers. The lake was surrounded by kadamba flowers, betasa flowers, nala, nipas, vanjulakas, kundas, kudubakas, ashokas, shirishas, kutajas, ingudas, kubjakas, swarnayutis, nagas, punagas, jatis, malikas, shatapatras, jalakas, and madhavilatas. The banks were also abundantly adorned with varieties of trees that yielded flowers and fruits in all seasons. Thus, the entire mountain stood gloriously decorated. Purport. Judging from the exhaustive description of the lakes and rivers on Trikuta mountain, on earth there is no comparison to their super excellence. On other planets, however, there are many such wonders. For instance, we understand that there are 2 million different types of trees, and not all of them are exhibited on earth. Srimad-Bhagavatam presents the total knowledge of the affairs of the universe, that not only describes this universe, but also takes into account the spiritual world beyond the universe. No one can challenge the Srimad-Bhagavatam's descriptions of the material and spiritual worlds. The attempts to go from the earth to the moon have failed, but the people of earth can understand what exists on other planets. There is no need of imagination. One may take actual knowledge from Srimad-Bhagavatam and be satisfied. Text 20. The leader of the elephants, who lived in the forest of the mountain Trikuta, once wandered toward the lake with his female elephants. He broke many plants, creepers, thickets, and trees, not caring for their piercing thorns. Text 21. Simply by catching scent of that elephant, all the other elephants, the tigers, and other ferocious animals, such as lions, rhinoceroses, great serpents, and black and white sarabas, fled in fear. The chamari deer also fled. Text 22. By the mercy of this elephant, animals like foxes, wolves, buffaloes, bears, boars, gopochikas, porcupines, monkeys, rabbits, and other deer and many other small animals loitered elsewhere in the forest They were not afraid of him. Purport. All the animals were practically controlled by this elephant, yet although they could move without fear, because of respect, they did not stand before him. 23 and 24. Surrounded by the herds, other elephants, including females, and followed by the young ones, Gajapati, the leader of the elephants, made Trikuta mountain tremble all around because of the weight of his body. He was perspiring, liquor dripping from his mouth, and his vision was overwhelmed by intoxication. He was being served by bumblebees who drank honey, and from a distance he could smell the dust of the lotus flowers which carried from the lake, which was carried from the lake by the breeze. Thus, surrounded by his associates who were afflicted by thirst, he soon arrived at the bank of the lake. Text 25. The king of the elephants entered the lake, bathed thoroughly, and was relieved of his fatigue. Then, with the aid of his trunk, he drank the cold, clear, nectarian water, which was mixed with the dust of lotus flowers and water lilies, until he was fully satisfied. 26. Like a human being who lacks spiritual knowledge and is too attached to the members of his family, the elephant, being illusioned by the external energy of Krishna, had his wives and children bathe and drink the water. Indeed, he raised water from the lake with his trunk and sprayed it over them. He did not mind the hard labor involved in this endeavor. Text 27. By the arrangement of providence, O king, a strong crocodile was angry at the elephant and attacked the elephant's leg in the water. The elephant was certainly strong, and he tried his best to get free from this danger sent by providence. 28. Thereafter, seeing Gajendra in that grave condition, his wives felt very sorry and began to cry. The other elephants wanted to help Gajendra, but because of the crocodile's great strength, they could not rescue him by grasping him from behind. Text 29. O king, the elephant and the crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of the water for 1,000 years. Upon seeing the fight, the demigods were very surprised. Text 30. Therefore, because of being pulled into the water and fighting for many long years, the elephant became diminished in his mental, physical, and sensual strength. The crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water, increased in enthusiasm and physical strength and sensual power. Purport. In the fighting between the elephant and the crocodile, the difference was that although the elephant was extremely powerful, he was in a foreign place, in the water. During 1,000 years of fighting, he could not get any food, and under the circumstances, bodily strength diminished. And because his bodily strength diminished, his mind also became weak, and his senses less powerful. The crocodile, however, being an animal of the water, had no difficulties. He was getting food, and was therefore getting mental strength and sensual encouragement. Thus, while the elephant became reduced in strength, the crocodile became more and more powerful. Now, from this we may take the lesson that in our fight with Maya, we should not be in a position in which our strength, enthusiasm, and senses will be unable to fight vigorously. Our Christian consciousness movement has actually declared war against the illusory energy, in which all the living entities are rotting in a false understanding of civilization. The soldiers in this Christian consciousness movement must always possess physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power. To keep themselves fit, they must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone, and therefore there are divisions of ashram, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Especially in this age of Kali, it is advised that no one takes sannyas. Ashwamedam galavan bamban, sannyasam palapaitrikam, devarena sutotpatim, kalao pancha vibarjayet. Brahma Vaivarta Purana. From this we can understand that in this age the sannyas ashram is forbidden because people are not strong. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us an example by taking sannyas at the age of 24 years, but even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya advised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be extremely careful because he had taken sannyas at an early age. For preaching, we give young boys sannyas, but actually it is being experienced that they are not fit for sannyas. There is no harm, however, if one thinks that he is unfit for sannyas. If he is very much agitated sexually, he should go to the ashram where sex is allowed, namely the Grihastha ashram. That one has been found to be very weak in one place does not mean that he should stop fighting the crocodile of Maya. This is Prabhupada's genius. This was written at a time when one of my godbrothers, who was a very powerful sannyasi and great leader and preacher in different places, had problems and fell from sannyas. So he wrote this in response to that. Try to convince him to come back and not to go away. That one has been found to be very weak in one place does not mean that he should stop fighting the crocodile of Maya. One should take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, as we shall see Gajendra do, and at the same time one can be a grihastha if he is satisfied with sexual indulgence. There is no need to give up the fight. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore recommended stane stitat shrutikatam tanuvan manobi. One may stay in whichever ashram is suitable for him. It is not essential that one take sannyas. If one is sexually agitated, he can enter the grihastha ashram. But one must continue fighting. For one who is not in a transcendental position, to take sannyas artificially is not a very great credit. If sannyas is not suitable, one may enter the grihastha ashram and fight Maya with great strength. But one should not give up the fighting and go away. Now there's a wonderful article that just appeared recently in the Dandavats. It's a explanation of why it is that Prabhupada did give sannyas, and took sannyas himself, and that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. So to say that we shouldn't take sannyas doesn't mean that we shouldn't take sannyas. Because Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took sannyas, Srila Prabhupada took sannyas and gave sannyas. So it means that there's a class of sannyasi that is condemned, and that is the sannyasi who is artificially renounced in the impersonal conception. That's especially what this means, this injunction of the Vedas. Text 31. And it's a very nice explanation that Bhakti Rasamrita Swami gives of this by quoting all the different scriptures. Very nice. You can look it up in the Dandavats. Text 31. It'll take me too long to talk about it right now. When the king of the elephants saw that he was under the clutches of the crocodile by the will of providence, and being embodied and circumstantially helpless, he could not save himself from danger. He was extremely afraid of being killed. He consequently thought for a long time and finally reached the following decision. Purport. Everyone in the material world is engaged in a struggle for existence. Everyone tries to save himself from danger, but when one is unable to save himself, if he is pious, he then takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Chaturvida bhajante mam janat sukritin arto jigyasur artarti jnanicha bharatarshaba. 4 kinds of pious men, namely one who is in danger, one who is in need of money, one who is searching for knowledge, and one who is inquisitive, begin to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to be saved or to advance. The king of the elephants, in his condition of danger, decided to seek shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. After considerable thought, he intelligently arrived at this correct decision. Such a decision is not reached by a sinful man. Therefore in Bhagavad Gita it is said that those who are pious, Sukriti, can decide that in a dangerous or awkward condition one should seek shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Text 32. The other elephants, who are my friends and relatives, could not rescue me from this danger. What then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of Providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile, and therefore I shall seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always the shelter of everyone, even of great personalities. Purport. This material world is described as padam padam yad vipadam, which means that at every step there is danger. A fool wrongly thinks that he is happy in this material world, but in fact he is not. For one who thinks that way is only illusioned. At every step, at every moment, there is danger. In modern civilization, one thinks that if he has a nice home and a nice car, his life is perfect. In the Western countries, especially in America, it is very nice to possess a good car. But as soon as one is on the road, there is danger, because at any moment an accident may take place and one will be killed. The record actually shows that so many people die in such accidents. Therefore, if we actually think that this material world is a very happy place, this is our ignorance. Real knowledge is that this material world is full of danger. We may struggle for existence as far as our intelligence allows, and may try to take care of ourselves, but unless the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, ultimately saves us from danger, our attempts will be useless. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, Balasya neha sharanam pitadau nishinga nartasya chagadam udan bhatimajjato now taptasya tat pratividir ya ihanjasheshtas tavad vibo tanubritam twadapekshidhanam. Bhagavatam 7:9-19. We may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract the dangers of this material world, but unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. Those who try to be happy without taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are mudhas, rascals. Namam duskritano mudha prapadyante naradamaha. Those who are the lowest of men refuse to take to Krishna consciousness because they think that they will be able to protect themselves without Krishna's care. This is their mistake. The decision of the king of elephants, Gajendra, was correct. In such a dangerous position, he sought shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 33. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but he is very powerful and influential. Therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chases everyone, ready to swallow him, if one who fears this serpent seeks shelter of the Lord will give him protection, for even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful Supreme Authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. Purport. One who is intelligent understands that there is a great and supreme authority above everything. That authority appears in different incarnations to save the innocent from disturbances. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Puritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. The Lord appears in his various incarnations for two purposes: to annihilate the dushkriti, the sinful, and to protect his devotees. The king of the elephants decided to surrender unto him. This is intelligent. One must know that great Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto him. The Lord comes personally to instruct us how to be happy, and only fools and rascals do not see by intelligence this supreme authority, the Supreme Person. In the Shruti mantra, it is said, Bishasmat Bhakta Pavate Bisho Deti Suryaha Bishamat Agnischandrascha Mrityur Davadi Panchamaha. Taittiriya Upanishad 2:8. It is out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the wind is blowing, that the sun is distributing heat and light, and that death is chasing everyone. Thus there is a Supreme Controller, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sachara Charam. This material manifestation is working so well because of the Supreme Controller. Any intelligent person, therefore, can understand that there is a Supreme Controller. Furthermore, the Supreme Controller himself appears as Lord Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as Lord Ramachandra to give us instructions and to show us by example how to surrender under the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet those who are Duskriti, the lowest of men, do not surrender. Namam Duskritino Mudha Prapadyante Naradamaha. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord clearly says, Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham. I am all-devouring death. Thus, Mrityu, or death, is the representative who takes everything away from the living entity who has accepted a material body. No one can say, I do not fear death. This is a false proposition. Everyone fears death. However, one who seeks shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be saved from death. One may argue, does the devotee not die? The answer is that a devotee certainly must give up his body, for the body is material. The difference is, however, that for one who surrenders to Krishna fully and who is protected by Krishna, the present body is his last. He will not again receive a material body to be subjected to death. This is assured in Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naitimam iti sorjuna. A devotee, after giving up his body, does not accept the material body, but returns home, back to Godhead. We are always in danger, because at any moment death can take place. It is not that only Gajendra, the king of the elephants, was afraid of death. Everyone should fear death, because everyone is caught by the crocodile of eternal time and may die at any moment. The best course, therefore, is to take shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and be saved from the struggle of existence in this material world, in which one repeatedly takes birth and dies. To reach this understanding is the ultimate goal of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Elephant Gajendra's Crisis. Oh, all right. For that, you can get a present. You won again. Just undefeated. Okay. Chapter 3. Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. In this chapter, the prayers by Gajendra, the king of the elephants, are described. It appears that the king of the elephants was formerly a human being, known as Indradyumna, and that he learned a prayer to the Supreme Lord. Fortunately, he remembered that prayer and began to chant it to himself. First, he offered his respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of his awkward position in having been attacked by the crocodile, he expressed his inability to recite prayers nicely. Nonetheless, he tried to chant the mantra and express himself in appropriate words as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, the original person from whom everything is emanated. He is the root cause of this cosmic manifestation, and the entire cosmos rests in him. Yet he is transcendental, for he does everything in relation to the material world through his external energy. He is eternally situated in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan, where he engages in his eternal pastimes. The material world is a product of his external energy, or material nature, which works under his direction. It is thus that creation, maintenance, and annihilation take place. The Lord exists at all times. This is extremely difficult for a non-devotee to understand. Although the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead is perceivable by everyone, only the pure devotees perceive his presence and activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely free from material birth, death, old age, and disease. Indeed, if anyone in this material world takes shelter of him, he also becomes situated in that transcendental position. For the satisfaction of the devotee, Paritranaya Sadhunam, the Lord appears and exhibits his activities. His appearance, disappearance, and other pastimes are not at all material. One who knows this secret can enter the kingdom of God. In the Lord, all opposing elements are adjusted. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. He is the controller of everything. He is the witness of all activities, and he is the original source of all living entities. Indeed, all living entities are parts of him, for he is the origin of Mahavishnu, who is the source of the living entities within this material world. The Lord can observe the activities of our senses, which can work and achieve material results because of his mercy. Although he is the original source of everything, he is untouched by any of his byproducts. In this way, he is like a gold mine, which is the source of gold ornaments, yet is different from the ornaments themselves. The Lord is worshipped by the method prescribed in the Pancharatras. He is the source of our knowledge, and he can give us liberation. Therefore, it is our duty to understand him according to the instructions of devotees, in particular the spiritual master. Although for us the mode of goodness is covered, by following the instructions of saintly persons and the spiritual master, we can be freed from material clutches. The self-effulgent material form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is adored by non-devotees. His impersonal form is adored by those advanced in spiritual knowledge, and his feature as the localized supersoul is appreciated by yogis. But his original form as a person is understood only by devotees. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is competent to dissipate the darkness of the conditioned soul through his instructions in Bhagavad Gita. He is the ocean of transcendental qualities and can be understood only by liberated persons, freed from the bodily concept of life. By his causeless mercy, the Lord can rescue the conditioned soul from the material clutches and enable him to return home, back to Godhead, to become his personal associate. Nonetheless, a pure devotee does not aspire to go back to Godhead. He is simply satisfied with executing his service in this material world. A pure devotee does not ask anything from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His only prayer is to be freed from the material conception of life and to be engaged in the Lord's transcendental loving service. In this way, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, offered prayers directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without mistaking him for one of the demigods. None of the demigods came to see him, not even Brahma or Shiva. Rather, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, seated on Garuda, personally appeared before him. Gajendra, by lifting his trunk, offered obeisances to the Lord, and the Lord immediately pulled him from the water along with the crocodile who had captured his leg. The Lord then killed the crocodile and thus rescued Gajendra. Hare Krishna. Pretty nice summary, huh? Text 1. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind and his heart, and with perfect intelligence, and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradyumna, and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Purport. Such remembrance is described in Bhagavad Gita 6:43 and 44. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuyak sangsidao kurunandana purvabhyasena tenaiva riyate yabisho pisaha. In these verses it is assured that even if a person engaged in devotional service falls down, he is not degraded, but is placed in a position in which he will in due course of time remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained later, Gajendra was formerly King Indradyumna, and somehow or other in his next life he became king of the elephants. Now Gajendra was in danger, and although he was in a body other than that of a human being, he remembered the stotra he had chanted in his previous life. Yatate cha tato bhuyak sangsidao kurunandana. To enable one to achieve perfection, Krishna gives one the chance to remember him again. This is proved here, for although the Lord of the Elephants, Gajendra, was put in danger, this was a chance for him to remember his previous devotional activities, so that he could immediately be rescued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is imperative, therefore, that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly, one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha Mantra, or great mantra. And also one should practice chanting Chintamani Prakara Sadmasu, or the Nishinga Stotra, Ito Nishinga, Parato Nishinga, Yato Yato, Yamitato Nishinga. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life he will not forget Krishna consciousness, even if he becomes an animal. Of course, a devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life, for simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions, after giving up this body, one can return home back to Godhead, even if there is some fall down. Practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamil in his boyhood practiced chanting the name of Narayana under the direction of his father, but later in his youth he fell down and became a drunkard, woman hunter, rogue, and thief. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayana for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayana, he became advanced, even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra under any circumstances. It will help us in the greatest danger, as we find in the life of Gajendra. Text 2. The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances under the Supreme Person Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, see, he already knows it, only 8 years old, he already knows it. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. Purport. In this verse, the words Etach Chid Atmakam are very important. The material body certainly consists only of material elements. But when one awakens to Krishna conscious understanding, the body is no longer material, but spiritual. The material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas the spiritual body engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of Him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined, Gurushu Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. Arche Vishnau Shila Di. Everyone knows that the deity in the temple is made of stone, but to think that the deity is merely stone is an offense. Similarly, to think that the body of the spiritual master consists of material ingredients is offensive. Atheists think that devotees foolishly worship a stone statue as God and an ordinary man as the Guru. The fact is, however, that by the grace of Krishna's omnipotence, the so-called stone statue of the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the body of the spiritual master is directly spiritual. A pure devotee who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service should be understood to be situated on the transcendental platform. Sagunan Samatityaitan Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. Let us therefore offer our obeisances under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy so-called material things also become spiritual when they are engaged in spiritual activity. Omkara, Pranava, is the symbolic sound representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Tat Sad Iti Nirdesho Brahmanastri Vidak Smritaha. The three words, Om Tat Sat, immediately invoke the Supreme Person. Therefore, Krishna says that He is Omkara in all the Vedic mantras, Pranavak Sarvabedeshu. The Vedic mantras are pronounced beginning with Omkara to indicate immediately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad-Bhagavatam, for example, begins with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and Omkara, Pranava. We should be careful to understand that Omkara does not indicate anything Nirakara or formless. Indeed, this verse immediately says Om Namo Bhagavate. Bhagavan is a person. Thus, Omkara is the representation of the Supreme Person. Omkara is not meant to be impersonal, as the Mayavadi philosophers consider it to be. This is distinctly expressed here by the word Purushaya. The Supreme Truth addressed by Omkara is Purusha, the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Unless He is a person, how can he control the great stalwart controllers of this universe? Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are the supreme controllers of this universe. But Lord Vishnu is offered obeisances even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore, this verse uses the words Parishaya, which indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by exalted demigods. Pareshaya means Parameshwara. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are Ishwaras, great controllers, but Lord Vishnu is Parameshwara, the supreme controller. We'll stop there. It's 7:30. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, time for our open mic time. Anything that stuck out in your mind when the reading was going on that you might want to reflect upon, share with us, or want to discuss it further or ask questions about Sarva, local saint, is going to bless us.
In the very first verse, it is an interesting phrase that Gajendra fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence. It chanted a mantra. So, can you comment on this phrase, fix the mind in the heart?
Well, the mind is not in the brain. That's the essence. The mind is not in the brain. The mind is in the heart, because the soul is in the heart. And you cannot offer a transcendental prayer to the Lord with your material mind. The material mind is a subtle energy that creates desires and also has a form, and that form is the form that we dream with, or dream in, rather. But the actual mind is in the soul. And it's the spiritual mind that one can actually chant prayers to the Lord with spontaneously. But Prabhupada in the purport, he recommends that we learn stotras or prayers, transcendental sounds, with our normal mind, purify that mind, and eventually the original mind, which is the soul, the spiritual mind is in the spiritual body, is a part of the spiritual body, or makes up the spiritual body. Spiritual body is made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, but it has mind and intelligence. So the mind and intelligence and the body, spiritual body, are made of different energies. They're not made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. It's made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Not made of the three modes of material nature. It's made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So therefore, in order to actually fix one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the material mind must be practiced in concentrating, on the Lord, in the pastimes of the Lord, the name of the Lord, entourage of the Lord, service of the Lord, and then that awakens the spiritual mind, which is in the heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We practice with our material senses and material mind to fix ourselves in devotional service of the Lord. Mam chayo bibicharina bhakti yogana sevat sagunan samatityaita. Sagunan samatityaita. And then we transcend, we wake up. Our spiritual senses wake up, our spiritual mind wake up, and then we can think of Krishna spontaneously. And until we are in that platform, then we should follow the regulations of sadhana bhakti, bhakti yoga, and practice to fix our mind during the times when we chant. And eventually, when we become expert, when we become purified, then our mind will naturally think of Krishna, especially when we're in danger. Therefore, when you're driving on a freeway, you notice how when there's an accident on the other side, all the cars slow down because they're all looking and they're going, "Oh my God!" Like that. I mean, not everyone, but it's a natural tendency. When you're in danger, you see something horrible or something. "Oh my God! Look at that!" So it's there in everybody, the tendency to take shelter of God, to want to get out of the horrible situation of this material world.
Is that your own accident or you don't fix it?
Yes, yes, and that's the purpose of this pastime. And Gajendra, just how powerful he was. He was so powerful. You know, in the jungle, in a fight between an elephant and a lion, who wins? Lion. Always the lion wins. But in this situation, the lions were terrified and ran away. That's how powerful Gajendra was. He was the king of elephants. He was not ordinary elephant.
It showed that everyone is vulnerable.
Everyone is vulnerable in this material world. Even Lord Brahma, he shows it. Runs after his daughter until he hears the Bhagavatam. Then he never does that again. Vishnu tells him, just cast off that body. Of course, Brahma's body is not like ours. We just can't cast off a body like it's, But he could do that because his body is very, very subtle and very, very advanced. Sometimes we can change our mind. I want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. So we kind of change our mind, and that changes our body in a sense. And sometimes people look different when they change their minds. I want to do this, and then, their dress changes, and their hair changes, and their, activities change. Right? They hang out with different places with different kinds of people, just because their minds are changed by association. So we associate with the Krishna consciousness movement, if we associate with the deities, if we associate with the devotees, if we associate with the Srimad-Bhagavatam and the holy name, and keep ourselves in that association, then eventually we will be qualified to go back to home in this life. How do we know that? Because Srila Prabhupada promised us, and he is not a liar. And how can he be that sure that he's not a liar? Because he's so dear to Krishna that he risked his life to come out of India at 70 years old and do what he did to save us all. A person on that level, that's Narada Muni is on that level. And therefore, when Narada Muni says something, Lord Krishna says, oh, I've got to do that. So when Narada Muni cursed the two sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, and to become trees because they were standing there naked and they were so drunk that they didn't cover themselves. When Narada walked by, he looked and he said, you're sons of Kuvera and you're standing there naked in front of me? Okay, you want to be naked? You can take bodies of trees. And then they all fell at his feet. But what if our father going to say, please don't do this to him? And Narada said, well, unfortunately, because I am who I am, whatever I say happens automatically. But because you're like so much, groveling, I'll amend it. So he amended the curse, and he said, you can take birth as trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj when Krishna appears, and Krishna will deliver you personally. So when Krishna came time, and Krishna was a little baby, and he was tied up with the mortar, and he pulled it, and it got stuck between those two trees, which were Nalaguvera and Manigriva. He just said, and then he paused and he said, oh, Narada Muni said I have to deliver these two. Okay. And he pulled down those two trees, which were firmly rooted, big Arjun trees. And then they were delivered. They came out, and all the friends of Krishna saw these two brilliant personalities come out, and they talked with Krishna, and Krishna said, okay, go back to home, back to where you are. Be nice people now. Stop this nonsense. So that means that when a pure devotee of the level of Narada Muni or Srila Prabhupada says something, and even if a person is dutifully initiated as Brahmana, had second initiation, and is worshipping the deities and chanting the mantras and doing devotional service properly, also those persons have power in their words. So if you are second initiated, then you should be very careful what you say. You should be careful what you say all the time, but especially if you have that blessing.
And I go off to question.
Bhaktin Hannah, Hare Krishna. How's the sun over there? Florida.
I'm appreciating how variegated Krishna is, that it even displays itself in his mercy, how caring and loving he can be in moments and appearing as fearful or difficult, just so we can remember what he is, the only... Someone else commented and moved it. What he is, the only real shelter. There's no limit to this kindness. And I was also having the realization the other day, as I was dressing my deities, that I didn't want anything from Krishna. All I wanted to serve him, even though he's nonetheless supporting and supplying for us in this world and in the spiritual world. But I can understand why devotees wouldn't desire from the Lord to go to the spiritual world. They'd take any world, so long as he is constantly appearing in the devotee's heart.
Nice, Hannah. Thanks very much. That was a wonderful realization. Keep it up.
And Vijaya Lakshmi Patel.
Vijaya Lakshmi Patel from Bangalore, India.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
The importance of tamal trees and kadamba flowers.
The importance of tamal trees and kadamba flowers, because they naturally grow in the holy dham, and they don't grow in many other places. I'm not sure if tamal trees grow in any places. Of course, I mean, huh?
Houston is growing.
Well, yeah, but you got the seeds from somewhere else, and the holy dham. Like Govinda Dasi planted, tulsi trees in Honolulu in Hawaii, and then the seeds came out and went all over the. Prabhupada was very pleased with her for that. Definitely. Very deep service. I have one in my room. I do Tulsi Puja every day, every morning. She comes in here now by the grace of Rati Manjari. Reminded us that we should have her here with us when we chant. She's giving us blessings. Hare Krishna. Yes. Thank you, Vijay Lakshmi.
I was appreciating this.
Well, let me say one more thing about the tamal tree. The bark of the tamal tree is blackish. There's in Sevakunj. There you go. Well done, sir. In Sevakunj, there's a tamal tree, and people have been going around and going around and going around and touching this one place and rubbing it. And after many, many hundreds, only thousands of years actually, at least hundreds of rubbing, that part of the tree has become like very beautifully black, like shiny and black. And you'll be happy to know that in our ashram in Govardhan, there's more tamal trees per that small space than anywhere else in Braj. How do I know that? Because Dina Bandhu told me. And Dina Bandhu knows every square inch of the place. He knows where everything is. That's all he does is go around. And I'll tell you, when we got there, there was no boundary wall. And all the Brajbasis came and cut down all the trees for firewood during the winter, except for the big ones. Neem trees, eucalyptus trees, the big ones. And all the other trees that were there were just below the surface, you couldn't see. So one day, I hope Sri Krishna Maharaj will forgive me for telling this story, but one night, Tamal Krishna Maharaj had a dream. Krishna came to him in a dream. He's like this. He's not an ordinary devotee. And he said, you know that tamal tree? Because he saw a little something come out of the ground. And he thought it looked like a tamal tree, but he wasn't sure. That night, Krishna came to him in a dream and said, you know that tamal tree? He said, yeah, that tree, that was a tamal tree. It's very important. So go down and water it right now. So he got up in the middle of the night. He went down and watered it. And from that day, he kept watering that tree. And then, there's a pathway that goes from there's the hill, the Parikrama Marg, and then our garden. We're right across the street. And we made a pathway from the, like this, into the entrance of the back. It's actually the back entrance of the building. The front entrance of the building faces east. And the sun sets over the west. And there was some shilas that had been left there by different people. And we built a little singer-san for the shilas. And sometimes other devotees come and leave them there when they... Anyway, and when we did the construction, we found shilas and we put them there. And then, and just over that shila place, a kadamba tree grew. And just across from it on the path, that tamal tree is there. And it grew up, and it went like this, and the tamal tree and the kadamba tree met and made a little, little archway.
That's cool.
You walk through. And not only that, but where Tamal Krishna Maharaj's samadhi, Pushpa Samadhi is right now, there were like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, tamal trees right there in a cluster that were there. And we started watering everything, and they all started to come up. And they come up, and right on the gate, there was another one that came up. There was others over here that came up. So anyway, there's at least 12 tamal trees there in that short space. And there's some kadamba trees also. And so there you have it. The story of the tamal tree. So we put Tamal Krishna Maharaj's samadhi, Pushpa Samadhi, right in the place where those tamal, and they grew up, and now they're kind of giving shade over it. It looks a very lovely little tamal kunj where Tamal Krishna Maharaj's Pushpa Samadhi is located.
They all occurred naturally. You didn't plant them.
No, we didn't plant. This all sprung up. We did plant a kadamba tree in one of the courtyards, two of the courtyards. We planted kadamba trees there, but we didn't plant any tamal. You can't get tamal. It's not easy to find tamal tree things. Okay. Pranahari.
I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing that, Maharaj. I'm sorry I have to follow that nectarian story about Tamal Krishna Goswami, but I just had a reflection on it.
Please reflect away. It's all nectar.
I like the last verse of the chapter 2 in the purport. I really like this, how Prabhupada progressively makes a conclusion here. He says, one who is intelligent understands that there is a great and supreme authority above everything. That great authority appears in different incarnations to save the innocent from disturbances. And then he quotes Pritranaya Sadhunam, and then he says, the king of the elephants decided to surrender to him. This is intelligent. I like this, that there's a great and supreme authority above everything. If you're intelligent, you realize that. Krishna is that person. And it made me reflect that sometimes there's fearful situations in life, whether it be our own spiritual lives or physical danger or what have you, but and often the tendency for a conditioned soul is to try to figure it out based on their own strength, their own material intelligence, their own controlling abilities. And it, at least my experience is that I enter into a tumult of anxiety and unhappiness, and it really throws me off. And then at last I realize, because of reading Prabhupada's books and hearing it again and again, the philosophy that well, Krishna's actually the supreme authority, and he's the one who, if we decide to surrender to him, that's intelligent. He knows everything. He's the only one who could really fix the situation anyhow. So better that I go to him. And this is very relieving and very I don't know. Then I feel relief.
What a
based on
nice reflection. Thank you so much. That was deep and realized and very nicely put. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Pranahari. Or
I have to reflect off his reflection.
please reflect off of his reflection. That's what we're here for. To reflect off of each other's reflections.
So that's what I was talking to you about yesterday, how I was going through. Basically, I felt like things were going on and I wanted to have some sense of control over them, or some sense of, I could do this and then it'll stop happening. But it works for a while, I guess you could say. It doesn't really work. It's like a false sense of control.
It seems like it's working.
And then once you realize that it's just like a game, it's like you go around and you go around and you go around, and you just kind of okay, I'm not getting anywhere. So it's just letting it be, I guess. But that's the hardest thing to do, because the ego, or the false ego, wants to have some sense of security in something, I know this, And once you give that up, it's, even if you don't know, it's okay. You don't have to know. You just have to trust and let it be, and it'll be what it has to be.
And I want to explain something to everyone. This is Bhakti Kelly, who just gave that very wonderful, natural, and spontaneous reflection from her heart. And it shows that Krishna is there and will give intelligence to say profound things, even if you're right at the beginning of your devotional service. And she's decided to become a devotee and to join this movement. And therefore, that's very meaningful, what you just said. Very meaningful conversation we had last night. I'm sorry that Nitya's not here, because she was also there to hear it. But thank you so much, and thank you for your decision to join. We still have to figure out what it means, whether you're going to be shipped up to Florida or start a ladies ashram here, whatever is going to happen. It's happening, and you're what's the word, pioneer?
I guess you call it that.
Yeah, pioneer. So pioneer away, and you'll be happy you did. Okay, so I got to stop here because I get up really early and do another recording tomorrow morning. And I'm finding that if I get up to bed too late, my voice isn't the same. So I'm gonna, in order to do my service properly, I have to get to bed early. Okay?
We had one more question.
One more question.
Just a comment.
Okay, before we go, we got one more question from cyberspace.
Katie Romai.
Katie Romai.
I realized some months ago that I am scared to go back home, back to Godhead, because I can't imagine seeing different Krishna than Sri Krishna Landanishvara. I can't imagine you ever serving to different Krishna.
Well, I guess in a sense, that's what Lord Chaitanya is saying when he says that the devotee Janmani Janmani Ishware Babadad Bhaktira Haitukitui, that he doesn't care if he goes to the spiritual world or not, because he's completely happy serving Krishna here, completely. Madhavendra Puri found the Gopal deity in the top of Govardhan Hill when he came to him in a dream, and he became very attached to him, and he personally installed him and started everything going. And then he came to him in a dream again, and he told him to go to, he was very hot because he'd been staying there in the hot sun in Govardhan. Anybody who's lived there knows that it sometimes gets pretty hot, like over 50 degrees centigrade, which is over 130 or 26 or something like that. And so he said, listen, I'm very hot, so I want you to go to Puri. Now, just mind you, there's no trains there, no airports, no train stations. That means you have to walk to Puri and get sandalwood pulp, a certain amount, and camphor, a certain amount, and bring it back, and then make pulp and rub it on my body to make me cool. So Madhavendra Puri just immediately did it. He just left, and he went all the way to Puri. How many thousand miles? At least 1,000 miles. And he walked there, and he got to this beautiful little temple in Rimuna, which is the Gopinath deity, very famous for having stolen a pot of sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri one night when Madhavendra Puri was meditating on the chira, the sweet that's very famous. And Madhavendra Puri saw it, and he saw, I wish if I could just taste a little of that, then I could know what's in it and I could offer it to my Gopal. Because he was really attached to Gopal. That's who his deity was, Ishtadev, his deity. So okay, then he went on, and then sure enough, the deity stole the sweet rice and told the pujari through a dream, you go and get this sweet rice. I hid it behind the curtain. You didn't see it, but I hid it. I tricked you, so get it and give it to Madhavendra Puri. He's staying in the courtyard or someplace. So he did that, and he got it, and then he was afraid everyone was going to come, and he found out about that everyone was going to come and worship him, so he immediately left because he couldn't stand being worshipped. He went to Puri, and he got the sandalwood pulp and the camphor, and he got permission, and he got papers to show to the different persons that have tolls and going over rivers and everything dangerous. So he got back to the Gopinath deity, and Gopal came to him in a dream again, and he said, I want you to now make that sandalwood pulp and camphor into pulp, and have the pujaris smear it until it's gone on the deity of the Gopinath, and that way I will become cool, because the deity is the same. The deity is Krishna. So although we very much appreciate your attachment to Radharani and Ishwara, all the deities, we have Sri Sri Radha Nila Madhava here, and they're pretty extraordinary, and everybody's attached to them here. But all the deities are the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even if you get attached to one deity, someday they may give you an instruction to give something to another of their forms, and it'll be the same. Hare Krishna. Okay, I gotta stop now. I just went over my time. I was gonna stop at 7:50. I have it in my diary. I have to change it now. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for reflections out in cyberspace. Thank you for all of your ears and your hearts and your tongues and lovely reflections. Thank you, Bhakti and Kelly, for your wonderful decision to come and join this movement. We wish you well. We wish that you become perfect in this life. Go back to Godhead and take others with you.
That's the goal.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you to Bhakti Matt for seeing the light and coming back to serve. He's going to take up assisting us with our legacy work of doing the audiobook for Srila Prabhupada, and he's talented and eager to do that, so we thank him. Thanks to our local saint for his wonderful. Okay, Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Gajendra ki jai, Lord Vishnu ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Krishna Katha ki jai. See you tomorrow night, same place, same station. Hari Krishna.